Welcome to spring 2026. It is the second round of the Podcast Alliance Meetup and Mastermind. So glad that you can make it. If you're here live, welcome. We'll have you introduce yourselves very quickly momentarily. And if you're catching the recording, sorry you missed us live, but we've got a great lineup for you today. We've got K Carroll, who'll be sharing some great insights today, and Tracy Beavers momentarily. We'll give you their introductions momentarily, but as we're getting set to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to throw us all back on gallery view. I'm going to get everyone to smile, and Bernie, I'm going to get you to do this, and I'm going to do it at the same time, so we have at least one version of it, but everyone smile and say Alliance. Alliance. Oh, you're all on mute, but say Alliance. Here we go. How about another one? Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much for being here. We've been doing this since 2021, and we started it as a support group for folks who were launching their podcasts and needed just a little bit of help after they'd taken my program. It morphed into a weekly event, and then we said, wait a minute, maybe that's a little too much. Let's do it as a quarterly mastermind and meetup. Having said that, though, I've had some folks ask if we could go back to doing even something monthly, even just to hang out and network together. So that could be something that's coming down the pipe very shortly. As we get started, what I'm going to do is have everybody introduce themselves. Just say who you are, where you're from. If you're a speaker, just say, hey, I'm going to be talking to you today about, but don't give away too much of the store. Okay. So, and also as you're introducing yourself, feel free to put your information in the chat so people can connect with you. If you're a host, if you're a guest, looking for shows to be on, if you're a host looking for people to be on your show, or if you just want to connect with someone because you'd like to have a virtual coffee with them and see if there's a way that you can connect and collaborate and work together, by all means do that as well. So I will start. My name is Carl Richards. I am the host of this event and the host of the Communication Connection Community podcast, which has evolved over the last 7 years from my original podcast called Speaking of Speaking. I'm the CEO and founder of Podcast Solutions Made Simple, where we partner with experts in many different areas, coaches, consultants, and speakers who don't have the time or technical skills to be in the podcasting space. Either help them get booked on shows or help them launch their shows. So we can basically help you be seen as the go-to expert while we're doing all the work behind the scenes. And who doesn't want to be the visible go-to expert when it comes to their business? So, and welcome to the Podcast Alliance. Tracy, you're next on my screen, so go ahead, introduce yourself, put your information in the chat, and say who you are, where you're from, and what you're maybe hoping to get out of today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Carl. So I am speaking today. I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create your content every week without overwhelm. I'm going to teach you a system that I developed years ago, and I'll tell you more about that here in just a little bit. But I am Tracy Beavers. I'm a business and sales coach in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I help established course creators, coaches, and service providers. And I help them build an organic visibility system that will consistently grow your email list, which is very important, and attract those high-paying clients that you really want to work with. And we do all of that without you having to be online 24/7 and without you having to pay for ads. So I'm going to put my contact information in the chat, and I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tracy. We are so glad you're here, and I'm excited to hear you speak. This is, and I met Tracy a while ago. I'll share a little bit more about that momentarily. Earl, over to you, sir.
I'm Earl Thomas, the voice from Burnaby, BC, also podcast show host of Voice Power, now in my 6th season. And I'm so glad to be here and learn something more about podcasting. Grateful to you, Carl, for all I've learned from you and helping me get started way back in May 2021. Thank you. Earl Thomas, the voice, creating vocal paradise for your exact needs.
Season 6 already, Earl?
Yes.
Wow. Congratulations, brother. That is phenomenal. You know, there's this story that most podcasters don't last 6 episodes, let alone 6 seasons. So congratulations on all the success with your show and the support of this community as well. We're so glad that you're here. Tony,
your support is so good.
Thank you so much, Earl. Tony, you are next, sir.
Thank you very much, Carl. Hi, everybody. I'm Tony Chinnis. I'm a medium clairvoyant, and my podcast is called Raising Your Spirits. I have an episode every week. I've been doing it for about 5 years. We got over 350 episodes and counting, and it's been great to be able to incorporate Carl to our system so we can get the editing done and spend less time there. But yeah, so we mainly talk about things that Spirit wants to talk about, anything relevant, like are you an empath? How do you know that something is coming to you just by somebody sneezing? Just different things that we talk about regarding energy, regarding things that are intuitive. So that's the show, and so we're always looking to bring. Mostly, it's myself and Spirit that are on the show, but we do have a guest occasionally. So yeah, that's what we do.
Fantastic. And Tony, we are so glad to be supporting you, and we're glad that you are here today. Don't forget to put your information in the chat so people can explore your show in a little bit more detail, and let people know if you're looking for hosts, you're looking to be a host on the show, if you're looking to be a guest on a show, or if you're looking for guests, let them know. Okay. All right. Neil, you are next on my screen, so I'll have you introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Carl. Yeah, Neil Carroll. I'm a video strategy professional, I guess is how I'd frame myself these days. And I am going to speak later, and we're going to go through a workshop called the Extraordinary Guest exercise, which is going to help you all kind of look at guests you've had in the past, or if you are a professional guest or trying to do a lot more guesting, looking at podcasts that you've been on in the past, to kind of find a good path forward in terms of folks who will move the needle for you. So.
Awesome, Neil. Thank you so much. And again, don't forget to put any information you might have in the chat. I know you might want to do it later on as well if you have something to pass along, a gift to the audience or anything like that. But anything you want to put in the chat right now, for sure, by all means, do that. And thanks for being here. Wayne, are you able to come off mute and introduce yourself? Oh,
yeah.
He is. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. Am I here?
I can hear you, sir. Who are you?
Yes.
And yeah, what are you hoping to get out of today?
I'm the founder of Mind Radio. We actually do an audio podcast using Mind.
And Wayne is a humorist at the best of times. Wayne is correct me if I'm wrong, Wayne, life coach, correct?
Yes, I've been wanting to say that for years. I actually did own the URL, Mind Radio, but I am a life coach and author.
And also a podcaster who has been on multiple podcasts as a guest, and also was a co-host with another one of our participants today, Bernie Fransgrote, who we'll be hearing from very shortly, and is in talks with a very interesting podcaster to maybe do another show called Business is Funny, or along the lines of Business is Funny, because business sometimes can be very funny, haha, funny, and also beat your head against the wall funny. So Wayne, thank you so much for being here today. Glad you're here. Marshall, over to you.
So I'm Marshall Stern. I am from Richmond, British Columbia. I'm very close to Earl. I am a business growth specialist, coach, and mentor, and the host of the Stern Truth Business Unfiltered podcast. And I'm here because Earl told me to be here and to check you guys out.
So you do what Earl says? Is that
Earl says? Yes. Yes.
Has it always been that way, or is this just a new
It's a reciprocal thing, I think.
Awesome. Phenomenal. Earl is great, and I'm glad that you can join us. You certainly do have a home here, so we hope you like what you see today. And don't forget to put your information in the chat as well. I see you've already done that. Bernie, over to you, sir.
Earl, thank you for hosting this today. It's an absolute pleasure to see smiling faces and hear familiar voices. My details in the chat. I'm a podcaster. I'm looking for guests. Use my contact details. There's a link in there. You can find out more about me, and there's a calendar booking link. To find out more about the content I push out, it's blog, knackforbusiness.com, so blog, period, etc. it kind of gives you the most current things that are outgoing. And I'm going to stop there because I can just go down several different rabbit holes all simultaneously, and not with mine.
Yes, not with mime. Bernie will do anything but mime. Bernie is a phenomenal show host as well. Been on the Knack for Business podcast a few times now, and he has had some amazing success with the show, with what he's created. And we're so blessed, Bernie, that you are part of this community still. After all those years of working together, that you still support us. So thank you so much for being here.
Well, it's your
I have
training
some.
that helped. It's your training that
Well,
helped that make
I,
that happen, man.
I'm glad that it helped, and it's evolved a little bit since then. So, okay, let's dive right into it because Tracy, I know, has a very tight timeline, so we want to make sure we get her on so she can share with you her wisdom and her knowledge. I met Tracy Lane Beavers, I want to say it's about 2 years ago, and I think we did the podcast swap. I was on hers, she was on mine. We met through Podmatch. Who hasn't met through Podmatch lately? But what I liked about Tracy is her attention to detail, and just how conversational and nurturing and caring she is, not only as a business owner but also as a person in general. So I always had a very candid spiritual connection with her in that way, and I'm so glad that she has offered to come forward and speak to us today. As I introduce her and need to clear my throat, I'm so glad that Tracy has decided to come with us and be with us today to share her expertise as a visibility and list growth strategist. Weekly content made easy. How to map out 90 days of content in 30 minutes. Please help me welcome Tracy Lane Beavers.
Thanks so much. The crowd goes wild. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it so much. And I also have a Kleenex and cough drops handy. There is something in the air in Arkansas that is not agreeing with my sinuses. So there you have it. Super fun. Weekly content made easy. So let me explain why I chose this topic. As a visibility and list growth strategist, what I do for my students and my clients is I help you set up that organic visibility system that I mentioned when I introduced myself. Paid ads have never been a go for me. I think I have clients that have run paid ads and they've had amazing results. So I'm not anti-paid ad, but for me, they were a no-go. So I had to get really creative on how can I grow this business and use all the nooks and crannies of the social media platforms that I'm on and just squeeze all the juice out of them for list growth and leads and have that coming in every day. Also, a little background on me. I have an over 20-year award-winning sales career in corporate. Never thought I would leave corporate. I was going to be vice president of all things important. Like if you had told me that I was going to be an entrepreneur, I would have told you you'd lost your mind because my dad worked for himself and it looked like a grind. It did not look fun. So I was not going to do that. But I ended up working for a couple of CEOs that wanted to monkey around with the commission structure every time we started to gain traction. And I was like, okay, maybe I do need to do something else. And so through some really great friends, I discovered the world of coaching, but I built this business alongside that corporate job is my point. And when you do something like that, I don't know, has anybody else done that? You built this alongside something else until you could fully exit? It is a juggle. And so here I was with two kids, and my husband, two kids. The kids were middle school and high school at the time. I swear they played every sport that had a ball, and we were busy. And I had this corporate job working 12-hour days, bringing in the commissions, all that stuff. And my husband was fully supportive of me doing this, but he also said, please don't derail our retirement plan. And I'm like, okay. So I had to continue to pay the bills that I had committed to for our household and keep us on track for retirement. And I thought, how the heck am I going to do this? So I really had to get intentional with my time. And what I'm going to teach you today is the way that I created content week in, week out, without fail, consistency, so that I could gain that audience. I could gain the visibility. I could become known in the space as an authority on my topic and grow my email list. Because so many times I have students and clients come to me and they're like, Tracy, I'm ready to launch my business. In fact, I had a lady DM me on LinkedIn the other day and she said, I'm ready to launch my business, but I haven't grown my email list. And I thought to myself, how are you going to launch a business when you have nobody to buy from you, right? And we put the cart before the horse. We get so excited about our offers, and we're like, I'm going to make a group coaching program, and I'm over here going, who's going to buy it? We need an audience. So in order to get that audience, we have to have content, and it's not fun to have to create content every week, but it is necessary if we're going to have online businesses. So my platform of choice is Facebook. I know everybody probably just gasped. They're like, what? You're on Facebook? Facebook has been amazing to build my multi-six-figure business over the years. And so I teach my clients and students how to squeeze every last drop out of it, and including the content. So let's talk about how you can make your weekly content easy, week in, week out, so you get that consistency, you get the algorithm in your favor, you start to get known for something and attracting people to you, because the purpose of the online space is to get people offline, to have conversations either in their inbox because they're on your list, or in the DMs. And I know that's still an online thing, but to me it's offline because it's not in the main feed of the social media platform. So the first thing I want you to do in this exercise, and this should take you 30 minutes or less. I also have a freebie is a short video that actually walks you through it alongside me, and a PDF you can download if you want to work on it later today or tomorrow. And then when you do, I want you to DM me and tell me how it went for you. So the first thing we do is we visualize our ideal client. You know them like the back of your hand. Who are they? How are they feeling? What do they want? What are the words they're saying? What are the emotions? What is it they seek? What's the transformation they want? And I want you to visualize that for like a minute or two. Just embody your ideal client and just really get in there and think about who they are. Then I want you to throw out on paper or Google Doc or whatever your thing is, everything that came to you. Every idea, thought, word, feeling, all of it. Just bleh, put it out on paper. And then I want you to, based on that glob of words and emotions and things that you just threw out, I want you to think to yourself, what are the topics that I know in my zone of genius that I could talk about ad nauseum that would help all the people that are feeling exactly the way that I just listed on paper? And I want you to think of all of the topics that pertain to what they want, topics that pertain to the work that you do that will let you shine as the expert. And then we're going to brain dump those. And I don't want you to filter them. I don't want you to decide if they're good or bad. I just want you to put it out on paper. And what we're trying to do with this is to get to 12 topic ideas. Now, 12, why 12? Because 12, with my system, we take one topic per week. One topic per week for 12 weeks is 90 days. And so I did this exercise so that when I was strapped for time, every Thursday I wrote out my content for the next week. And I didn't have a lot of time. So I mapped out topics. I was like, okay, now I've got 90 days of topics. Did I love the topic that was on there every week? No. But I was going to present on that topic because I needed to get my content out and done. And some weeks my content was so good, I felt like I needed a gold medal. Other weeks, my content was so mediocre, I was like, these people are going to hate me. This is C+ work. But I got it done because the whole idea of this is to get you in a rhythm of content creation weekly that is easy, that is consistent, even on weeks when you don't feel like it, even when the shiz hits the fan, with, kids getting sick and whatever, vacations. Just got back from one, but I got my content done before I left. So you're mapping out these 12 topics, okay? Because we're going to take one topic per week. Then what you do is you look at your week and you get real honest with yourself. I had to get real honest with myself and have a talk to myself. Okay, Tracy Beavers, if you're going to build this business alongside your corporate job and your kids, you're going to have to get serious about your time. So I chose Thursday as my day to create all the content for the following week. And I did that because it gave me a little wiggle room in case something happened and I couldn't get the content done until Saturday. I was still good. So I look at that one topic. I want you to pick, what is your regular piece of weekly content going to be? And what I mean by that is it going to be a live video podcast? You guys are podcasters, so it's probably going to be a podcast. But I think Bernie mentioned having a blog. So podcast, live training, or blog. Those are your choices. Now, blogs are not my favorite. only because I don't read them. I'm not a big blog person. And it really takes a lot of SEO to really get the juice out of that. I prefer a live video because what we're doing right now is super impactful. You can hear my voice, you can see my face, you can see my crazy hand gestures as I'm talking and my Southern accent, and you can decide really fast if I'm for you or not, right? That know, like, and trust factor is instant with a video. Podcasting, great. King, I always like to say video is king, audio is queen. Podcasting is still good because they can hear your voice and they can hear how much you care and they can hear your expertise and how passionate you are about stuff. So you're going to choose a podcast probably. So you look at that one topic and you go, okay, so maybe my topic is how to make sure your Facebook personal profile grows your email list. That's my topic. I'm going to write a podcast episode about it. That's my regular piece of weekly content that my audience comes to expect week in, week out. Now, the coolest thing is, back when I was doing this, I don't even think AI existed. If it did, I didn't know about it. But now we have Claude, ChatGPT, all these things. So what I do now is different than what I was doing then. What I was doing then, my regular piece of weekly content back then was a live every Thursday at 11:30. I was going live and I was going to teach something to my audience because that was way easier for me than trying to get a microphone and be all fancy with a podcast. I was like, I can push a button and I can talk to people. I'm going to do that. And so I would write out my live script. And then I would look at my live script and I would go, okay, I need to pull 2 or 3 social media posts out of this. And I could repurpose it into a blog if I wanted to. I could repurpose it into a podcast if I wanted to. I could actually take what I was going to say in my live and share it with my audience in their email that week. So I wrote one thing. I wrote the live script. And from that, everything else that I needed for the week was born. So you can do the same thing. You write your podcast, your notes. I have to have notes, y'all. I can't do anything. Got my notes right here. Can't do anything without notes or I'm going to squirrel you off into a ditch and we'll be here all day. So I have all my notes for my podcast and I throw those into my best friend ChatGPT and I say, okay, here's what I'm doing for my podcast. Give me 2 to 3 social media posts that pertain to this topic. Rework this sucker into a blog because I do have a blog, even though I don't know what it's doing for me. My assistant makes it look good. And then I could even go live and talk about the podcast. I could go live. Like if the podcast is going to drop on a Thursday, I could go live on Wednesday and go, hey, guess what? I've got a new episode dropping tomorrow. It's going to be the best thing you've ever done to your Facebook personal profile. It's, how to turn it into a list growth funnel for you. And can't wait for you to get it. Or I could go live on Friday and go, hey, did you miss my podcast episode yesterday? It's all about X. It's episode number whatever. And I'll put the link to it in the comments. And so what you've done is you've created a system where you can breathe and you can just go, okay, what topic is up next? I'm going to knock that out. I'm going to get the podcast done and recorded. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to rework it into content. And by the time you get done with 12 weeks, you could go back to week 1 and look at that podcast topic and essentially rework it a little bit, put a different title on it, because I don't know about y'all, but I don't know what you did 90 days ago. I don't remember what I had for lunch yesterday. So nobody's going to remember what you did 90 days ago. So you might as well go back and repurpose what you have. And that's pretty much all I've got for you on that system. I hope that was helpful. Does anybody have any questions? Don't all talk at once.
Questions? Anyone?
Anyone? Bueller?
So if you don't have an interview coming up, you can do a topic and develop that topic just from the live script.
Yeah, for sure.
And I found that when I start writing, there's a lot more than I thought was there.
Yes,
But that's why I like what you're saying. Yeah.
Yes, Earl, you're so right. And the more that you brain dump and visualize, and as you're working through those 12 weeks, you're going to come up with ideas. Like I'll be out walking the dog and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's an idea. Oh my gosh, there's an idea. And I come back and I throw it on my Google sheet. And so I never have really run out of stuff. Now I will say, caution, be better than me. There's been a couple of weeks when I was building alongside the corporate job that I looked at that topic and I went, if I have to talk about this one more time, I think I'm going to pass out. I was like, I don't want to do this. And so I said, okay, I'll come up with another topic. I didn't. The week started and I had no content. So don't do that. If you put a topic there, get it out there, get it done.
But if you have an interview, you can always, miss that and then go back to it.
Well, what you could do is you could take the interview, the transcript from the interview, and get content out of that.
Okay.
Because you could put that into AI and say, okay, this was my conversation with Carl, and we were talking about best practices for podcasting or whatever. Write me 2 to 3 social media posts that my audience would love about what he shared. And you can mention his name again or not. And the cool thing about that, Earl, is whenever you tag somebody on social media, you have been visible to their audience. So, like if you wrote a social media post about that interview with Carl, then tag him. You're going to be visible to his audience, and that's super cool. And also, he's going to be like, well, that was amazing. Earl just tagged me. So you could actually get more juice out of your interview by not only promoting the interview when it drops, but posting about it on social and tagging Carl. So whenever I am a guest on a podcast, I like to take a screenshot of me and the host that day, and then I just go make a super simple graphic and I post about it. I'm like, Carl just interviewed me for his show. This is what we talked about. I can't wait for the episode to drop. In the meantime, go follow his show. And I tag him. Then when the show comes out, I promote that. And so I get a lot more exposure to Carl's audience that way. But I love what you're saying, Earl. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, great input, and really good question, Earl, for sure. I just wanted to point out, by the way, um, I follow Tracy Beavers, and guess what happened? This is the power of content. Guess what happened as she was talking? I got a piece of content from her. Now, mind you, it was an email, but it's amazing how that content, as you're doing other things in your life, can have impact. Just so when you're working on, I don't know, in Tracy's case, when she was still in the corporate world, working her 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 8 till 8 or whatever, however many hours corporate was killing her working that job, there's still that content there. So it definitely has power. Any other questions for Tracy?
I have one question for Tracy.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about posting the content, if you're posting it across the different channels,
Mhm.
are you adjusting it, altering it a bit, or are you just, yeah?
Yeah, you need to, because what I've learned over the years is the content that I put on Facebook needs to be a little different for LinkedIn. So really what I've really been doing is focusing on creating content for LinkedIn and using it on Facebook, because that works. But the other way, it doesn't really work, because LinkedIn wants you to be more thought leadery, if that's even a word. And Facebook is just looser and easier, and you can use calls to action more loosely and things like that. LinkedIn people get all up in, I don't know what's going on, but anyway, for LinkedIn, it's a little bit different content. And then obviously on Instagram, it needs to be a little bit different content, especially with the call to action when you use that, because on Instagram, you can't do a link. So I do, Marshall, I alter it a little bit. But I'll tell you, I didn't do that in the beginning because it was just me. And I went all in. This is what I tell my students. I want you to focus on one platform, get it converting for you before you even think about trying to do another platform. The only reason that you'll see me on Instagram and LinkedIn and now Substack, I think my assistant put me on Substack, is because I have an assistant. And all I do is approve the content and she makes me look amazing. But yeah, no, great question.
So second question, follow-up. So because you're primarily on Facebook, which is what
Yes.
I had been, I'm on LinkedIn as well. Is your Facebook page a personal page, or is it a business page with your name?
Oh, love this question so much. I have both, and I teach my students both to have both. You want to have a Facebook personal profile, because it's free, and it is the way that you join Facebook groups. Because most Facebook groups like mine and Carl's will not allow you to join as a business page. They want you to join as a human being. So it's very, very important and I have a free training on this on tracybeavers.com. There's a marketing resources that'll help you dial in your personal profile. But we want to make it grow your email list. And the super secret sauce to that is that cover photo. You'll see me change mine today to my live masterclass. But that's how the personal profile grows your list. So personal profile is very important, who you are, who you serve, and how, because you're going to be active in groups. And then that business page, it doesn't do a lot for us in terms of reach and all that like it used to. Years ago, it really did something for us, but it's still a place to grow the list. It is still a place for people to find you. And for what I teach is that it's an extra piece of social proof that I am who I say I am and that I'm a legit CEO. And for me, my business page is Tracy L. Beavers, which if I had it to do over again, I would have changed it to probably Tracy L. Beavers, Tracy Beavers Coaching or something like that. I would have made it a little bit more with the business name. So I'm not a great example in that area, and it's meta verified now, so I can't change it. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would do like Marshall Stern, business growth specialist on your business page.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Those are great questions.
I had a couple of questions, Tracy. I'll just start with the one that's fresh in my mind right now. Your thoughts on Facebook groups? You say you're
Yeah.
very active on Facebook. I
Yeah.
have a group, you have a group. I know people who have had groups for a while and very successful and active in their group. What are your thoughts about posting there? And are there specific, not to give away the store or anything, but are there specific strategies that people should be considering
Mhm.
as they're looking to get more engagement from their groups?
Yes, for sure. So the Facebook group, I love a Facebook group for 90% of businesses. It makes so much sense because if you met me and I said, and which I put it in the chat, and I said to you, Carl, I've got this awesome Facebook group, over 4,000 entrepreneurs. We're all in there together doing the same thing. You can get support. You can ask for feedback. You can ask for somebody to review your landing page. If you get stuck in tech, you can post about that. We have free networking sessions once a month. I do live Q&A. Da, 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 da. Do you want to join us? It's an easy yes for you because I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm giving you something that's really cool and a great resource. And then the key to the Facebook group growing your list is the way you have the membership entry questions set up. And I teach my students how to write them in a way that people want to give you their email address when they come in. Then they're on my list. Then I get the opportunity to DM them. So I get to actually get to know them. So a Facebook group to me is like you come into my house because you're coming into my community. I'm like, I am so happy to see you. Oh my gosh. We met at da 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 da, and how are you? And how's your list growth and your leads? And I'm not trying to sell you anything, but I am trying to see how your business is going in case I have a free resource I could give you or something like that. And then meantime, you're in my community, swimming in my world, and I'm loving on you and you're loving it, and you will convert to a buyer over time. But for that Facebook group to be highly engaged, it takes intention. I have a lot of people that'll say, well, my Facebook group is dead. And I go look at it. I do an audit for them. I have a really cool analyzer tool I run through, and it gives me a score on their group. And they're talking at their group, not in, it's like they're on a stage and they're just talking. And the people in the group don't know that that they feel like they need to sit in the audience and listen. And because the group owner hasn't told them from the beginning, this is a community. I want you to talk to each other. I want you to network. This is a party. You know what I mean? And once they get that feeling and they understand that they are welcome to say something, then it changes the dynamic into a true community. Because it's not the Tracy Beaver show. I just wanted to build a community where people could come in and feel supported. So
Yeah.
yeah, and your content in your group needs to be a little different than the social media content you're putting out, because otherwise, why would they want to be there? You got to
Yeah.
offer them something a little bit more special.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. All great insights. Thank you very much. And my
Yeah,
other question I wanted to ask you was about, yeah, you mentioned that before AI,
yeah,
you were doing all this manually, that you didn't think AI existed. AI probably
yeah.
existed, just not as mainstream as it is today. So my question is, how much are you implementing into AI now, and how much are you relying on AI,
Mhm.
or how well have you trained it, or if I'm framing that the right way, to just
Yeah,
do it for you? And I know you have an assistant, so what are
I
some of the
do.
checks and balances you put in place so your audience knows and it's not
Mhm.
just AI that's created this?
Love this question because, um, we have to use it as a tool, but then make sure that our voice and our words are actually represented. So I started with ChatGPT back when it was born. And so I've had it, is it 3 years now, 4 years now? But it has so much of me in it that I'm not even sure I can move to Claude without, I feel like I'm moving a boulder over to something else. But ChatGPT knows me so well that I can get in there and I can create a project for my podcast for the week, and I'm gonna say, this is my topic. These are the points I want to make. I want to make sure to not miss this. I'm da 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 da, and I give it all the brain dump stuff, and then I have it help me map out the logical framework of the presentation in the podcast. But then I tweak it, obviously, because it's me and my voice. And then I'll ask it to create the social media posts, but I'm tweaking those also, taking out the M dashes, trying to avoid words like unlock, this those words that I like loves to use. But yeah, so I do use it, and it helps me write my show notes. It helps me write because I have a YouTube channel too. So I'm repurposing the podcast over to the YouTube channel and vice versa. So it's helping me with description notes and tags and the SEO portion of it. But yeah, I use it, and I'm not ashamed to say that. Some people are like, don't tell anybody you use AI. And I'm like, I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's not that you use AI, it's how you use AI. And we're seeing a lot of the bad examples of, oh, AI wrote this post for me, copy paste, and there it is. And you see all the dashes and the unlock that, all those verbiages that are AI. And so there's good and there's bad, but certainly from a structuring standpoint, I use it on a fairly regular basis now. I don't rely on the first thing it creates for me. I'm still training.
No.
And I know what you mean about, like, so many people are saying, oh, you should try out Claude. And I'm like, but then I feel like I'm cheating on ChatGPT, or having to retrain it to do something else. So, but I also recognize that it won't just take, sometimes it takes some more than one. It needs more information. Even if I give it a prompt, I say, do this for me, it still needs more information. So just to rely on that first thing that goes out there is just
right.
Dangerous, I guess you could say.
One thing I'll share real quick that I've done that really has changed the game for me as a coach is, so I have an 8-week group coaching program. In fact, I'm going to put the link to the masterclass. I have master classes coming up in a couple of weeks. Let me pop this into the Zoom chat. And I'm teaching 4 organic strategies in that masterclass. The social media made easy one, the weekly content made easy. You'll hear that again, but then you'll hear a couple of other strategies. And then obviously I pitch my 8-week group coaching program. But in that group coaching program, we have a live strategy call once a week. Then we have an alumni mastermind. After you finish the 8 weeks, you go into the alumni mastermind. We have a live call once a week. And I've been using the free version of Fathom. And I take the transcript of that call, and I have projects in ChatGPT. So I have a project for the students. I have a project for the alum mastermind. And every transcript, I put it in there and I say, analyze this call. I want to know what I did well as a leader, what I missed. What are the gaps I'm not seeing that my students have? Just everything. Pull all the juice out of it for me. And it gives me this really great analysis. And sometimes a new tool that, like a new framework or a PDF that I can share with the students that would help them with based on what we talked about. And what's great about it is, at first I was like, does this make me a bad coach that I'm needing this? But I don't think so, because I'm so in the moment with the students that I'm not able to see the whole room, if you will. You know what I mean? I'm so laser focused that sometimes I miss what's going on in the chat and all that jazz. And then also every single one of my one-to-one clients has a project. So it would know everything about you, Carl, and your business and your style. And it would help me uncover, it would help me uncover some gaps that you have that I'm not seeing. It's been phenomenal. And then also, because of that, it then knows my program, and it knows my voice, and it knows how I coach. And also from those transcripts, I'm able to say, hey, write me a social media post that showcases my coaching in this moment. And then I can give a call to action of, if you'd like to join this program, this is what we did today on this call, come join the wait list, or if you want to DM me about one-to-one coaching, these are the prime example of what I do. It's been really cool. Just kind of going a little bit deeper with it. You guys are probably already doing that, but your girl was a little late to the party.
I love it. No, very good insights. Go ahead. Who's got a question? Sorry.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Tracy. the repurposing of the content is intriguing. I actually have a reverse issue with my content. I have too much content. When
Oh,
Spirit
yeah.
starts talking, it's like I have an hour show, but I get 3 hours of material. So it's sort of
Wow.
backwards. I have to weed it through.
Wow.
Once I've purposed the content and put it out there, and that's usually in my Friday class. Every Friday at 1:30, I do a 1 hour free meditation. From that, it comes out with it's on my YouTube station for our members, which has bonus content for that, and it's usually unlisted for the public. A
Yeah.
year later, I'll bring it out to the public, but I'll take out the bonus, and they just get the raw stuff.
Yeah.
But it's how to repurpose it. So sometimes when a show comes out, it goes out to the members and goes out to in a podcast, and that's it. So I kind of like the repurposing of it because
Yeah.
there have been some points where clients will call and he says, "I'm not sure if I'm an empath. How do I know if I'm an empath?" So I
Yeah.
says, "Hey, I did a show on that. I'm going to send you that hour because it saves me a time to just regurgitate what was channeled already before." And
Right.
so from there, they'll say, "Okay, that sounds really good, but can we get together?" But it's the repurposing is what we're trying to do. So anything on that, it like you can bring it out in a different way. You had mentioned that,
Mhm.
So like what are other ways where you could sort of repackage it so that the same content can be used in other ways?
Oh, that's a really good question. So you have a great problem because you have
Yeah,
too much
I
content.
have too much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Which is not, it's really not a bad thing because that way, if there are weeks where you're not feeling well or you're on vacation or something, you could really just literally pull something from the
yeah,
archives
yeah,
and
yeah.
throw it back out
And
there.
sometimes I don't get the content till Thursday night, and
Okay.
my show is on Friday. So there's no
Okay.
planning. It just whatever people are going through,
Mhm.
whatever they're praying for, or whatever is happening in the ether. They say, okay, this is what the public is now looking for, and
Mhm.
I'll get the content on Friday morning, and then just do a few notes, and then I'm
Mhm.
on. So
Yeah.
there isn't this 12 week. I couldn't go that far. I'm lucky to get
Yeah.
it. Today's Wednesday. I did get the content Saturday,
Uh-huh.
and I've already given it to what we're going to be doing. But
Yeah.
sometimes after that, I have no idea.
Yeah.
So it's just trying to manage it where if it goes out once.
Hmm.
Yes, I think Carl brought this up once. Just to send it out, and you're just using it once. So is there other ways to sort of
Yeah.
you use that content for something else?
Yeah. So if I understand you, Tony, mapping out topics every week is really not the best
No, that
structure
wouldn't
for
work.
you
Yeah,
because yours is more organic based on who you're talking
yeah,
to and how
yeah.
the spirits are moving you in the
Yes,
moment. Okay.
yes,
So you can still repurpose that content. So like so the content that went out last week, you have all of that.
yep.
Okay. What if you pulled the transcripts from the content from last week and created social media posts from that?
Yeah, we do that. So it'll let people know that because I also have a Facebook business page. It's called Tuning In with Tony, and I
Uh-huh.
got about 300 people in there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's another thing. The engagement is something that I didn't realize until today that I could do more of because we
Yeah.
just sort of post it. It's like a billboard. This is
Yeah.
what I did last week,
Yeah.
you know, and it's yeah. There's not much engagement. I guess when I first started that. The idea was, if you have a question, you could post
Mhm.
it and I'd answer it. And I did when I had more time.
Right.
But it's very difficult now to do
Yeah.
the same thing. So maybe it's a thing where I could go on live to that group and
Yeah.
to say if you have any questions, I have 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Does anybody have any questions? I don't know if
Yeah.
that would work. Have you
Is this
tried that?
you said business page and then you said group. Do you have a free Facebook group or is it a
Yep.
Facebook business
I have a
page?
free profile Facebook personal page,
Okay.
and then I have a business part, which is the Tuning In with Tony. I also have another Facebook part. It's with our company, Higher Self, but
And those are
I,
business pages.
those are business pages. Yeah.
Okay. You don't have a free Facebook group.
Maybe it is. I do have a free Facebook. I think it's the Tuning In with Tony. That is free,
It's a
and
group.
it's like it's a group. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a community, or
Okay.
that was the intention.
What I would say is if you're going to, I love going live. I love it, even if you
Yeah,
have a podcast.
yeah,
What I would say is if you're going to go live and you could play around with it a little bit. For a long time, I only went live in my free group, thinking that if I promoted that I was going to go live, people would want to join the group.
yeah.
Didn't really go that way.
Oh, okay.
So I ended up using StreamYard, a streaming service, so that I could be live in my group, on my Facebook personal, on LinkedIn, all the places and hit it all at once. Now that's a expensive strategy. I don't think you need that. Where I'm going with this is if you're going to go live, I would recommend you do it on your Facebook personal profile because
Okay.
the Facebook business page is great to have as a piece of social proof that you are who you say you are and to have some content there, but it doesn't really do a lot for us. And on that
Okay.
personal profile, when somebody interacts with your live there, and it may take them a while, a lot of people are lurkers. They won't say anything. You won't even know they're watching or they'll watch the replay. And when someone comments or likes or hearts, that's your opportunity to get into the DMs and develop
Okay.
that relationship with them. And if you do have a free Facebook group, invite them to the group.
Okay.
So, but I think the personal profile is going to be your best bet if you're going to go live.
That and I do go live every Friday
Okay.
when I do that, but it's just on the Facebook group.
Okay.
I have a thing with Restream where I could post on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and on YouTube at the same time.
Yeah.
I haven't done that with that particular one because it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking just as you're speaking, if I had a separate show or separate sort of candid, if anybody has any questions
Yes.
about anything,
Right.
that might be able to give some credibility
Yeah.
to on the moment or at the moment type of thing. Somebody says, "Yeah, I lost my dog and I'm really feeling bad," and that was like 5 years ago, and I'm still thinking it was last week. I said, "Okay, yeah, that's that grief we can do, and we can do an online healing, which only takes a few minutes anyway."
Nice.
So, but I don't know, like, would that be something that could generate email
Yeah.
population and stuff, and
Yes. If as
or is it
long as
just a
in the
waste of time? Or
no, it's not a waste of time. If as long as in that live you are giving a call to action that leads to your email list. Otherwise, it is a
ah,
waste of time. I would say the same thing for your
okay,
podcasts. If in your podcast, in the audio and in the show notes, you're not leading people to your email list, in a blog, if you're not giving a call to action to the list, everything we do needs to drive to the list, DM conversation, inbox
okay,
conversation, something
okay.
like that. So when you're going live, you could say, if you do have that free Facebook group and you're going live on your personal profile, you could just say, hey, if you're loving this content, come join me and dive deeper into this over in the XYZ group. I'm going to put the link in the comments for you. Or you could say, if you're loving this so much, I have a free guide for you that's going to help you decide and uncover if you really are an empath or not and what that feels like. And I'm going to put the link to it in the comments for you.
Because
And
the
that
fact
way,
that they're just emailing you in the first place, you'll have their contact information.
hmm
Like if they say thank you very much for your show, I have something in private I would like to talk about. If it takes
yeah,
a few minutes, it doesn't matter. Some of the bigger ones we can do in a session, but that would be one way to get their email. And then
yes,
I could just say, is it okay if I send you a note every so often? And I think I have to do that like one at a time. Like I have
okay,
MailChimp, but it sends it out to everybody, and it's not clear if it's a advertising or a sponsored thing because it
yeah,
has their name on it, but it's not as organic as just sending one email at a time, and it could be like a template, and then you
hmm
just say, "Oh, by the way, how is your dog, Fifi or whatever," and so that at the very end there's something personal, and
yeah,
then send it in in there. I so
yeah,
those are
Not to
things that
not
takes a
to
lot of
not to
time.
not to cut the conversation short, but I know Tracy, I know you're tight for
Oh
time.
yeah.
So what I'm going
yeah.
to
No, it's
suggest is,
okay.
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, what I'm going to suggest, Tony, is
Just
Tracy,
get
certainly if you
Tony
have any
DM me.
resources. Yeah,
Okay.
DM
Okay.
her. Yeah, for
DM
sure.
me.
Okay. What is?
Um,
Yeah, you could just post
yeah,
your email or something.
I
Yes, I will. Give me,
think
let me grab it
Oh, I
she
again.
think I
did.
got it. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Masters B. Yeah, okay. I think I
Yeah.
got your.
So
We're all
yeah, I
set.
just
Okay.
just to move it forward, so because I do know Tracy has to run, but also so you can Tony, you have the opportunity to dive into this a little bit more one-on-one with Tracy and your
Yeah.
with your specific
And
needs. So
I would say that to anybody here. If you have questions, if you want to DM me, email me, whatever, just get with me and I'll help you and we'll figure out what's going to work best for you.
okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Thank you,
Tracy, thank
Carl,
you so
so
much. Thank
much.
you. Let's give a nice
This was
hand
so
for
fun.
Tracy. Tracy, woo!
Bye,
That was
friends.
so
I
much
hate that I
fun.
have to leave. I wish I could hear Nick's Neil's thing. I'm gonna have to watch the replay.
Catch the recording for sure, the
Uh-huh.
replay. So thank you so much,
Mhm.
Tracy, for joining us today. I appreciate all of your insights that you shared today. Let's take a short bio break so we can stretch our legs, refill our coffee cups for those who are on the West Coast and maybe need that second or third cup of Java. Let's come back at, let's say, 12:07, 12:08, so 7 or 8 minutes after the hour, and we'll continue with our programming after that. All right, welcome back. Part two of the Podcast Alliance. And before I bring on Neil, our second guest speaker today, I wanted to talk about what are some of the things that allow you to be a sought after podcast host, a host that everyone either wants to be on your show or the kind of host that listeners want to tap into and viewers want to check you out time and time again. So you can write these down as I share them with you, but I'm also going to post some of this information in the chat as we go, so you'll have it for you. But when you think of the term host, first off, let me ask this question, because I think it's a good one. Raise your hand if you've ever said, I could do a better job than that host. Raise your hand if you've ever said that. I know I've said that a few times. Certainly, as hosts, we want to be respected. We want to give our listeners and our viewers a top-notch experience. What does that mean? It means, I think, going above and beyond what we typically would do. Certainly an extension of our business. But let's break it down. What does the H stand for in the word host? Well, H stands for human connection. Human connection. Curiosity wins, realness wins, warmth wins. Audiences can really feel when the energy that you're putting forward is forced. So even if you're doing a solo episode, and Tony, I know that your episodes are channeled through spirit by way of example, so I know you've got some support there. But make sure that you're not performing, not you personally, Tony, but if you're, as you're sharing the information, whether you're a host that has guests or whether you're doing it solo or if you're on a panel discussion, don't perform. Make sure you are connecting because people will forgive imperfections, but they won't forgive if it's fake. And we're seeing that a lot now with AI rearing its head with AI generated hosts and stuff. So that's the H, is human connection. I think we crave that now more than ever. For the O, it's ownership. Ownership. As the host, you lead the room. It's your room, it's your platform. So you set the tone, you guide the pacing, you manage those awkward moments, whether they're yours as the solo host or as the host with a guest. Yeah, you get to manage and maneuver and drive those. And you keep things moving. Make sure they're moving in the right direction. A guest brings expertise, but the host certainly brings the direction. And I can honestly say that I have been on shows where I felt like I was the host or I was guiding the host in the direction that the conversation should have went, and it shouldn't be that way. It should be the host driving the show forward always. S is for service, serving the audience. We sometimes forget that we are podcasters, and sometimes we think, well, my listeners are here because, well, I'm a podcaster. Well, no. Every now and again, we have to, well, not every now and again, but every time before we flip open the mic, we should ask ourselves, what is it that the listeners need asked? What are the questions that they're asking? What is it that they need clarity on or clarification on? Jargon ends up a lot in podcasts. And is that something that needs clarification or can even be removed from some of the information you're putting forward? Also, good idea too, as a host, to slow the guests down, or if they're getting too far ahead of the pace, to slow them down. So you're not so they're not ahead of you. Pull out stories, your stories. Pull stories out of the guests if they're not telling stories. Ask for examples. Again, think of what the audience is really wanting, because at the end of the day, we really want to protect the listener's time. Time is precious. There are always those people in the room. Oh, sorry, there are always three people in the room. It's you, the guest, and the listener. Always remember that. It's not just you and the guest or you and the listener. It's you, the guest, and the listener. Okay, so definitely make sure that you're connecting with the audience, not just talking to them. And sometimes that, especially when we have guests, we forget. I quite often in my dialogue will remind the host, or sorry, I will remind the listener that they're there. I will say, and if you're listening to this today, or if you're hearing the conversation that I'm having with Neil K. Carroll, you'll understand. So I always bring them back if I feel that that's happened. And the other thing is timing. T is for timing. Know when you have to jump in. And sometimes if your guest isn't speaking in sound bites, you need to know. You need to figure out how you can jump in and just pause them, or move the conversation forward. Know when to take a pause if you need to. Know when to move the conversation forward. Know when to move on. Don't overtalk. Sometimes I think that hosts feel they have to fill a certain amount of time. I've talked about this in my courses, and I've talked about this in the Alliance too, that, there are podcast episodes we've worked on that are 2 minutes long. And we've worked on podcast episodes that are, well, upwards of an hour and a half or 2 hours long. But really, how long does that episode need to be? How long does that conversation need to be? So don't overtalk, right? And don't let those moments die. Let those moments live. Timing isn't visible when it's good, right? Timing isn't visible when it's good, but it's painful if you're keeping people way too long, way too long. So that's, some quick tips on how to be a really good host that people will want to listen to time and time again. Okay. And if you have any questions after today, or you'd like to do a deeper dive on that, I'm happy to have a conversation with you about your hosting abilities and skills. If you're wondering, how am I landing? Certainly happy to have a conversation with you about that. Okay, let's get set for our next speaker. Neil K. Carroll is a video strategist based in Buffalo, New York. He has been in the video space for 20 plus years. Production and marketing spaces with small businesses, startups, universities, and corporate clients as well. A lot of great experience there. His focus these days is on auditing your best clients to uncover the truth that's already closing deals for your business. Extract insights through a remote, low-friction process, delivering the video evidence and strategic intelligence you need without headache. And today, we're so glad that Neil is here today. I know he's got a lot of great concepts, and we've chatted for, oh my gosh, over the last 3.5, 4 years on multiple topics and had some great conversations. Because he is in Buffalo, he's not that far away. So, Neil, at some point, we're going to have to press the flesh, grab a meal, whatever you want to say. If not in your neck of the woods, then mine. But please help me welcome Neil K. Carroll. How to book interviews that actually grow your show. Neil K. Carroll.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, Carl, we're not far. We've never done the in-person thing, but there's that pesky border. Just gotta, at some point make that work. So, well, hello everyone. I'm Neil Carroll, and thank you very much, Carl, for having me here today as part of this Podcast Alliance event. So for those of you who are either live in the room here or watching the recording, the first thing to note about what we're going to go through is you're going to need a pen or a pencil and some paper. So while I go ahead and ramble through this intro, try to find that, because you cannot really do this exercise in your head. And let's see. So, a quick word on how I kind of fit into the podcast ecosystem here. Carl and his team are the masters of podcast production. They build the channels, they manage the podcast, they handle the how of getting your message out into the world. As Carl mentioned, I'm also in video and video production, but my focus is a little more on the strategy side. So vetting the people that you're going to interact with. We also do some work on the infrastructure of actually capturing video as well. So I help folks identify the the best people to interact with through video to actually move the needle for your business. And the other piece, as I kind of mentioned, infrastructure wise, is that we do have like a remote kit that can be a great fit for a lot of podcast type production. So, with that rambling hopefully out of the way, let me just see if it looks like everybody's got pencils and paper. And how are we feeling? If anybody is struggling, feel free to stop me. All right. Cool. I think we're in pretty good shape. So, we're going to start here. I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you all to put um, one word into the chat for me. And that is, I'd like to know if you are primarily a podcaster or a host, if you could just put the word podcaster into the chat. If you're primarily a guest, you could put the word guest into the chat. And I don't think we have anybody in this space today, but if you're just podcast curious, you can put the word curious into the chat. I think everybody's a podcaster. All right. Earl kind of does a little of both. That works. Okay. And so with that in mind, I'm going to suggest. Oh, Carl does both too. Okay. Well, with that in mind, I'm going to suggest that we look at this exercise through the podcaster lens. So, this exercise, it's built around the fact that many podcast hosts operate from, a bit of a reactive model, as I would put it. You just say, somebody comes to you, they say, "Can I be on your podcast?" And you say yes. Today, we're going to look at how to kind of tweak that a bit to a more proactive model. I'm going to share my screen here. So let's see if we were talking about this just before we started, but I'm just going to share a simple setup. All we're looking at here really is this is the grid that we're going to make for this exercise, right? We'll have, this should be guest, but guests down the left side, and we're going to have a few columns to the right. All right. So with that grid in mind, we're just going to look at past experience and run these guests through a simple formula. We're going to score them on three distinct categories: fit, value, and impact. And by the end of this exercise, you'll have a ranked short list of exactly who you need to be pitching next. So if everybody's got their paper and they are set there, we will dive in. Oh, Bernie, I can give you go back to this setup. Bernie, we need a pencil and paper or a pen and paper if you got it.
How about a
And you're
blank
going to
wall?
work on we're eventually going to make this grid here, okay?
Got it.
So really you just need guests down the left side, and then we'll do a couple other bits there.
Okay.
But as I know you're a host, what we're looking at is how to vet past guests to get a better idea of who you can get on your show going forward to really have an impactful conversation. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you're just going to take a list of the first guests that come to mind, and you're going to write them in a list down the left side of your page. If you could get up to 10, that would be great. If you have more, keep going, but don't overthink it is the point here. Write down your favorites. Write down the ones you remember because they were nightmares.
Huh.
Write down the ones that are,
Is this the naughty and nice list or what?
you can put down whoever you want, Bernie. It's a
Okay.
brain dump, right?
Oh,
So don't overthink it. But
oh,
let's try to get 10. If you get 30 or something, you're going to be working a lot harder. But let's start with 10, and you can go a few more if you feel like you have to get them in there. And then as we're doing these steps, I'll just kind of talk through a few bullet points that can help you, kind of identify people if you're coming up short. So if you need to, you can bring up your own podcast catalog if you need to go back and kind of go through. If not, just keep filling them out, and I will be coming back to cameras once in a while to see where we are and if it looks like we got everything we need.
Just a quick question there, Neil.
Yeah.
You have your guest, and where
Mhm.
it says fit, how that fits into your overall podcast strategy, or how they fit into being interviewed.
That's a great question. So we're not going to touch the fit column yet.
Oh,
That's our
okay.
next
So
that's our
value and
next thing.
impact, you don't want to. You just do the list for now.
Just the
Okay.
list.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Got
Just the list to start.
it.
And
Got it.
and we'll be
Got it.
getting into that next bit in just a moment here. All right, how are we feeling? Does everybody have about 10 or more? Okay. Perfect. So, what we're going to do is we're going to rate these guests on those categories, which are the columns to the right of that list there. We are going to rate them all on a scale from 0 to 3. No fractions, no decimals, sorry. Uh, we're going to go 0 to 3 whole numbers only. Crucially, 0 is an option, right? 0 is the worst option for these categories, and 3 is a resounding success in any of these spaces. So first, let's look at fit. Just to the right of that list of names, you're going to rate these guests on a scale of 0 to 3 based on fit. And now fit is the headache score. Did this guest show up on time? Did they have a good mic? Were they in a quiet room? Was the conversation natural? Or did you have to drag answers out of them? More or less, were they a good guest? At first glance, and an easy guest to work with.
Okay. So
From 0 to
Neil,
3.
this list is for past guests
Yes.
that you've had, not the ones that are coming up. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so it would be past
Okay.
guests.
Okay. Okay. So the one I had.
Um,
Okay. Hang on.
yeah. Other things to consider here. If somebody had terrible audio, they're going to be lower rating here. If they were a nightmare to get on your schedule, their rating's going to be lower. Fit is really about friction of this relationship you had with your guest. Was it easy to make the episode happen? Did the conversation come easy? Again, audio quality, camera quality, noisy
Neil,
room.
Neil, you're on the list, right?
I'm on the list.
So
You'll
are
have
you,
to give me
Carl.
my rating at the end.
Yeah,
I've never had this
yeah.
happen in this exercise, so I'm excited. All right. Very good. Oh man, that's a lot of pressure. You threw me off my game, Bernie.
Oh, Neil, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's a live, loving moment.
Well, here I'll add this bullet point then for you to consider. Rating of a 3 is a seamless and fun conversation. So you just write a 3 next to my name there, and a
I already
0
did that.
is that you had to drag conversations out of this guest.
So you write a 0
And
beside
keep
my name, Bernie, just so you get the
So-
have a balance
distinguish
or
between
what?
it.
So, all right. So if you all, I can give you a few more moments, or how are we feeling about just fit, just the rating, don't overthink it, right? This is really kind of a vibe check as much as anything. So, okay, we're going to go into the next bit here, which is we're going to rate in the same way, 0 being no value, 3 being a lot of value based on the category of value, which is, we're going to call this the growth score. Um, did this person actually share the episode with their audience? When you look at the metrics, do you see a spike in downloads? Did they refer another guest to you, or kind of add value to your show in a different way? If they're doing these positive things, they'll have a higher rating. If they didn't do any of them, they're going to have a lower rating. So again, 0 to 3. If they ghosted you after your episode dropped and didn't share it, then that's a 0 guest. If they, did their part in promotion and you saw additions to your audience as part of their participation, then that's going to be a higher rating. So, and now this one might be hard to just take right off the top of your head. So if you need to revisit after this exercise, feel free to do so. You can go or open your platform now and see who's got the highest download numbers and who did the best numbers. And I'll give you all a few more moments, but we'll get into it at the end. But there's a reason that we use such a simplified scale, and it's, you got to make the decision: is this a 3, or is it a 2 or a 1? And then the zeros are usually pretty obvious. So, how are we all feeling about the value portion here? Are we good? All right, we are going to rate all these clients on one more category, and that category is impact, which we're going to call the resonance score. So, as far as you could tell, maybe from conversations after the fact or feedback on your episodes, did your listeners actually care what this guest had to say? Did this guest spark conversation in your DMs or within a community that you shared this in? Did the guest deliver a real aha type moment? If any of those are check marks, they're going to rate a little more highly. And again, the best possible outcome's a 3. The worst possible impact rating is a 0. Another way to think about this is, did your audience actually care about this episode? This might be, Bernie, where I get my 0,
I don't think so.
Did you, as I mentioned, the aha moment, right? Can you remember a moment in the episode, in the conversation with this guest, where you're like, wow, that's really interesting stuff,
That's all of my guesses. The ones I've just listed
well,
down.
you don't have to share this list, Bernie. So you can, other than my
No.
score, you've committed to sharing mine. But
No, but
the
like
rest can keep.
as you're describing it, I'm going, and I get what you're driving for, right? Because I didn't do a mixed bag and just do a random pile and going, yeah, this one's kind of like soft in the conversation, or it's like milking a bull, not so good, or a hen's teeth type thing, right? And then lack of effort afterwards. But the ones I wrote down are
They're winners.
strong like bull.
Oh, well, we'll see if we get any kind of contrast between them by the end here. But if not, you're killing it, one more thought on impact is, if it just was a really generic, boring interview and nobody cared, didn't react, that's on the 0 side of things. So, all right, let's see, Bernie, you're going to be on the spot, because the next step is that we're going to take these 3 scores that we've assigned to each one of our podcast guests, and we're going to multiply them. All right, the math portion. I know it can be scary sometimes, but I will help with the math if needed. So we're going to multiply fit times value times impact for each row. If you have all 3s, that's 27. Now, the reason that we multiply is if you have a 0 in any category, that gets you a 0 across the board. You don't want more guests like that. If somebody can't fulfill one of these categories, you don't want more folks like that. They might be the nicest people in the world, but maybe not the best guest. So I'll give you all a few moments to multiply. Yes, go ahead, Tony. You're muted.
Okay, so is that in order? Because if I go 2 times 0 is 0, times, or is it plus 3 or minus, or times 3?
If it's 0 in any category, mathematically you'll end up with a 0.
Oh, I see. Okay, I thought it was like algebra, where if it's the last one's a 3, it's still a 3. Okay, but
No,
okay,
0 is gonna negate anything else that they
okay.
do well. So
Okay. Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, because the value I was mainly because this person really didn't have the opportunity to share it on their Facebook. They don't have really a Facebook channel, so everything else was good. The fit was good, but the impact was good. I checked it. We did 2,500 downloads on that particular show.
Okay.
Which wasn't bad, but since they couldn't share it and engage their audience, they don't have much of an audience. So you said that's a 0, or what?
And we'll get into why. And again, that could be a great guess, but we'll get into why.
Okay,
like,
okay, all right,
kind of
yeah.
what we're, how we'll chart a path forward that they still might not be the best option. So,
Okay, so even if it's a 1, it would just be then it'll be 2 times 3 would be 6. Okay, I see.
yeah.
So
I'll
yeah,
run through
okay.
all-
0 is when it's not good in all of those sections of value. Okay,
Right.
got it.
So, yeah, 3 3s is 27.
Yeah.
2 3s and a 2 is an 18. 3 2s is a 12. And as
What
you
are we
start getting
multiplying
lower
it
than
by?
that, it's probably. I'm sorry.
Each
So,
other.
Neil, what are we multiplying it by? Like, say, if I had 1, 3, and 3, what would I be multiplying it by?
1 3 and 3, so it would be 1 times 3, which is 9. So
I
9 would
see.
be your
Okay.
score.
2 times 1 is 2, times 3 is 6. Okay.
Does anybody need help with
Math?
in particular anywhere?
I usually do.
Yeah, that's all right.
Bernie, you got a 2. Oh my goodness. I'm kidding. Bernie, you didn't get a 2. I'm just giving you a
Overall or just one category?
Twos?
2 times. Oh, that
Twos in
makes
the
sense.
category,
now.
not so bad.
1
Two
times
overall,
1 is
not
still
great.
1.
Three
Why would
is
they call it multiplication if you're multiplying something and you still get the same number? I never could do.
yeah, 1 times 1 times 1. Yeah, no kidding.
I know. It's
3 times 3 is 6.
3 times 3 is 9.
3 times 3 is 9.
Oh,
And then what's your
it's
third
not-
number?
3 is 27. Okay, yeah.
27.
3 is 27.
All right. So this is the next question. Does anybody have 27s? If you have a 3 in every category, that is
I got a 27.
All right.
Yeah.
Does anybody
Yeah.
have 18s? That would be 2 3s and a 2. All right.
3 times 2 is
So
6.
these 27s, and if you don't have 27s, 18s will reveal what we're going to call the extraordinary guests on your shows. So circle those, circle your highest ratings. And now to get back to what Tony was kind of talking about, the reason that we're doing this rating and we're looking at this list is if you have people who really fulfill these 3 categories, they're ideal in terms of what to look for in future guests, right? So whether that person was a great guest or not, you probably are not going to go out looking for folks who have no additional presence. Um, if you had your way between somebody who did and somebody who didn't, you're likely going to pick the person who can help you promote your show. So we've looked at all our scores. We've circled the high scoring guests. Here's the question. What do they have in common, right? Are they from a specific niche? Do they have a certain kind of audience size, or are they podcasters as well? Maybe there was just a specific vibe that resonates with you from these people, or resonates with your brand. Uh, we're looking for patterns from our highest ranking people on this list. So I will give you all a moment to look for patterns. Demographics and stuff can be in there too, age, profession, maybe where they live, um, other pieces like that. You can think about where you met these folks versus, um, you know, other specific kind of demographics to them as well. And I'll just
Yeah.
give you all a few moments to kind of work through these. Feel free to bring up any questions if you have any, and I'll do my best to answer them.
It's more of a comment. You know how in the Buzzsprout they show you on the day what was downloaded? These two particular ones, and one actually had a part two. They're constantly on there. They're constantly increasing. They've come up from, you know, slowly at the bottom, not too many, and then they just really grown. It's
There
just
you
been
go.
amazing. Yeah.
So that's more evergreen content, right? Like that's content that's continuing to resonate.
It's still growing. Yeah. I'm not surprised when I see them there on the daily. Yeah.
That's perfect. So that would be a good reason to have a higher score in that category too, right? Where you've got
Yeah. Yeah.
the impact, right?
Although the one of them, uh, when we did our pre-interview, I said, "Can you have a quieter place when we do the interview?" She said, "Yeah, I'll be in my office." We came to her office and she wasn't in her office. It was really loud. So I had
Oh,
to
okay.
stop her at that point and say, "Well," and it really took three times the effort to edit that. And yet she was babbling back and forth with the other guy, and actually he just went ahead by one.
Okay. All
On
right.
the total downloads. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, and that's an instance where, you know, if in an ideal world, they would have been a better rating in the fit category where they considered where they were. They said they were going to be in their office, and they actually were, right? And it was quiet. That would that would be a positive in that particular category for sure. So,
Yeah. See, they
you're
got a 9 on the
perfectly
total thing on that because of the one. It really wasn't a good fit. I mean,
yeah,
I wanted
yeah.
to
Well,
go ahead
that's
with it because there was good content, but
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Well, there's and you can weight these differently if it makes sense for your own podcast. But I think we can all agree that, if that person who's got the great content and they're like, their episode is getting the most downloads for you, and they were in a quiet place with a good mic and a good camera, that would make them the true ideal guest, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, did anybody look at their guests, kind of do this comparison, and find any similarities between their guests that they thought were interesting?
Yeah, I did. Very interesting that my 27s, they're all speakers, professionals in the coaching space, something that is offering a professional service. Um, I'll say service because it's not product based. So they're all B2B. They're all highly respected. I would say they speak. That's one of the things that they all have in common is, I mean, we all speak, but they speak to promote their business. Looking at all of them,
Right.
they've spoken either on podcasts or physical stages. They're speaking on a regular basis or have spoken on a regular basis to promote their businesses. But definitely that, and the fact that obviously they know how do I say it? Leverage being on other stages, like being in other people's audiences, right?
Yes. So I mean, and to make it put it very succinctly there, right? They're already good speakers and they know they should take it seriously, right? If to leverage it, right? That's the
100%. Yeah.
that and that goes very much into the fit and everything, right? Like they're I think a lot of us, right? I know I have when I used to run a podcast or some of the events, like there's nothing worse than expecting somebody to come in with some really killer content and then they show up and you can tell they just remembered that morning that they were going to be on or something, right? It's not great, but um all right. Well, does anybody else have kind of parallels they were willing to or able to draw between their top rated guests? If not, we're going to move on and see what Bernie rated me.
Oh, you're 27, bud. Like
Oh,
really? Like you're worried? Like
yeah,
you and
I
Carl. You and
was.
Carl.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if I ran this and I came in at a zero or something, Bernie?
Sorry, Bernie, did
Oh
you say
no.
27 or 2.7? Because I just I didn't think the
No,
math
I'd
worked
say
out on that.
Neil probably showed up at like 4 a.m. or something.
I didn't even remember, right? I could have been that person. Showed up,
No,
didn't
if I
know I
look
was on a podcast.
if I
Yeah.
look at the guests that have come that have just like I just went down my list and going, oh yeah, I remember that person. That was a good call. That was a good call. Some of them it's like, oh yeah, okay. It, the conversation was good. It was although there's a script, did it flow, right? And the time basically the time flew by. Right. Next thing I'm looking, I'm the timekeeper, and I'm like, holy shit, we have 5 minutes left on the window, and so how do we reach you? And exit stage left, and so that was kind of the key. So much like we were saying earlier, Carl, is the person presenting on a regular basis? Yes. Yeah. Do they have oral skills? Yes. And the one of the reasons I interview people before I do the show is if you're in the witness stand and you treat me like the opposing counsel, no,
Not
no,
as much.
no, we're not even going. There's only one that I had that I did that someone said, "Oh, you got to do this person." I did that person. The person says they're a unicorn. They were not the unicorn I needed though. Because I had a hard time with the call to action. It was like it was just too scattered, right?
Yeah.
Heavy sigh.
Well,
So the content was too scattered, or just afterwards you just couldn't get any traction or something?
I felt a strong disconnect during the
Oh,
recording,
during. Okay.
right? And then
Yeah.
afterwards, as I do the editing, I'm going, yeah, it didn't come any better round two. So it's like, yep, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, when
I
when
mean,
editing that doesn't work either. It's like you cut
well,
so much out, and there's all that's left is,
and,
hey, we
and,
got this great guest, and thank you very much for coming.
yeah. So it's like, yeah, just I mean, nothing's ever going to be 100%. Even some
Yeah.
guests come in and they might have a ranking of a one or a two in one of the columns,
mhm.
or
One of
a
my
couple of them.
ideal,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
Good.
One of my ideal guests, I put it, brought him into my Toastmaster speech for at the very end to ask him a question and what his experience was, and then I said to the because I wasn't planning this, but then I said now you can hear and you can see why he is an ideal guest because you ask him a question, he goes in depth. Yeah, and that's the one that got the 27, of course.
Perfect. So, Carl, you probably want me to wrap, right?
Well, yeah, we still have a couple minutes. One of the things that I noticed, because my show's going on 7 years, right? So, and some of the memorable moments go back almost a full 6 or 7 years. So I noticed that some of those earlier shows. I mean, I was a different host back then. The show was completely different back then. How I
Yeah.
nurtured my guests and my own business was different back then. And as a result of that, a couple of those scores are really low, even though I felt that if I go back to at the time, great value, all of that, but their scores are still low because there's things they didn't do because I wasn't doing them either. So, right. So it's
Right.
like, okay, well, that affects the score, right? So,
Yeah. Well, and this is you kind of segue into something that I usually bring up when doing an exercise like this. Like, uh, it's not just about the performance of the guest in this case, right? Like we change, our needs change, the way our businesses run or our podcasts will change. So this is an exercise too, right? If you got a ton of guests that you could run after the fact and get a clearer, more bigger picture, and then you could run it in 3 months, and it might even be a different picture. So um, to I'm gonna just because I don't know if Carl's got some closing remarks, but I'm gonna just do our last step here, and then yeah, Q&A or Carl's last remarks. But what I want you to do is you've circled a name or a few names. Um, if you're a host, that's your yeah, and we all are, I guess. That's your dream guest. The quick
Yeah.
win today is clarity from this list, and the next win's action. So if you want to turn the math that we just did into reality, the biggest, best way that I can say to do that is commit to action right now. You have a defined profile based on what we saw, some of the similarities between your top clients or a top client that you can use as your template. Who do you know who fits the same description as these folks? So go ahead and write down a name, somebody maybe that you haven't interviewed before, and commit to reaching out to this person, right? So that'll be the homework portion of this exercise. Commit to, a quick note, somebody you know that would be a good fit, and go with that. If you do want to cheat, you're welcome to invite me on your show. Bernie's already said I'm a 27 guest. We've got it verified there. I come prepared. I bring my own studio gear. I show up just like I am here. And if you do, feel free. And with that, I am done. So if Carl needs to do any mop up before the end here, feel free. Otherwise, I can take questions and stuff too.
awesome. Neil K. Carroll. Woo! Fantastic. My goodness, Neil, thank you so much for walking us through that. There are a few extra minutes here. So, are there any additional questions for Neil? I know there was a lot of discussion as we were walking through it, but
Just
any.
a quick question for Neil. So, what is the ideal score? You said 18 to 27 is good, but so if it's lower than 15, that they're not the best, or like if it's
So,
because I'm getting a 12 and a couple, and but they were still pretty impactful, but there was still that value that they weren't as prepared
yeah,
because the ones I've done, it's like they're not doing it professionally. They don't have a podcast channel, but they have good content based on my topic, which is spirit. So I'm
sure.
looking for, let's say, somebody that can connect to dogs, like vibrationally, and so they don't have a lot of speaking ability, and they I've had to sort of push them, and they thought I only had like 15 minutes worth of content, and I made it the hour,
Yes.
or whatever, So
So,
so what is the ideal? Are we
yeah.
looking at 12 or 15?
So,
That's nothing less than that, or
yeah, so ideally you're at 27, but
okay.
if your best scores are at 12 and 15, then I would use those to guide your next
Ah,
tests, right?
okay,
So
okay,
it's the
got
the
it.
exercise is largely subjective, right? So how you graded them and or rated them is going to have a lot to do with it. That said, too, sometimes if you've got 15s and you want to improve, you want people up in that 27 range, maybe it's something you could change in preparation for your show, right? Where it's like you could better prep them in terms of we're going to talk about this, but I don't know, have something written up, or whatever it is, wherever they're falling short. Or it could be, okay, you don't really have the traditional following, but like, how else can we leverage your network or whatever, right? There's more than one way to get it done. So it might be, if you're coming up a little short, you just tweak some of your own process.
Well, what this also does, when you work it backwards, how can you be a 27 when you're on another show? I guess that would be another good one that says, oh, okay, if I come early and then I share it with my audience, and put it on Facebook and other platforms of mine, and then give them the link to those, and then they could track it or whatever. Yeah, that's something that is interesting when you work it backwards, and you want to be at 27,
The other thing, Tony, that I was just thinking about as well is maybe it's not your process leading up to the show. Maybe it's your process after that the guest needs to know about. Not saying you personally, but sometimes we forget that we'll just give a bunch of tools to people. But maybe, I mean, I know I'm guilty of this. I would give them a bunch of tools, say, here's your audiogram, here's the link to share, but then not give them instructions with it. I actually need to say, here's the audiogram that you can share on your social media channels. Here's the artwork if you want to put this in your blog. Here's the link. And and by the way, I'm also going to tag you so as I'm tagging you on social media, please make sure that you like, share, and respond to the post. So those little tiny things that not all guests, we'd like to think they do.
Right. That's a good one.
But they don't. So that could be, I mean, I've noticed that in myself that I still do give those tools to my guests, but I don't necessarily, I've started to do it now, always give what do I do with this tool? It's like handing somebody a hammer and not telling them what to do with it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Oh, here's a hammer. Okay. Well, we're building a house. Oh, yeah. I need you to go bang those nails in over there.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily just go whack whatever happens to be out there. So maybe, and I'm not saying, again, you personally, I'm saying in general.
No. I understand.
Part of the process is the leading up to the show.
Sometimes we do assume that if we give them a tool like an audiogram or a picture, well, you know what to do with it, and they have no clue. We do this on a regular basis. It's almost second nature to us.
Yep.
But
some people do. Like if I give a bunch of reels or clips from an interview with Neil to Neil will know what to do with them. Heck, Neil will probably say, "Can you just give me the raw footage? I wouldn't mind grabbing some more stuff out of it." Is what probably Neil would ask for. But he knows that. But not every person would, and not every person would know what to do with them unless you tell them, "Oh, by the way, here's 2 reels I'm going to be sharing on my Instagram page. Feel free if you want to share them in your community as well," or whatever. So,
well, I had a person that says, "Well, this is good to have the video, but there are some content I don't want in there. How do I get it out of there?" Well, with a video editor. Where do I get that? Oh my God! It's like, okay, we're there. Okay, I see. Which is they want the raw rather than the raw footage. I can't do nothing with it because I can't change anything. Well, there's also an audio editor. Oh, where can I get that? Yeah, so you're looking at rudimentary stuff,
Hire Carl Richards, and for video, go see Neil.
Exactly.
And just one more point on this: like, never be afraid to give too much instruction, right? So, like, I'll use Carl's instruction leading up to this event, right? Carl shared some stuff for promotion with myself and Tracy there, and I think maybe even gave us some potential posts that we could put out there. It's not that I didn't like Carl's post, but I write my own post, right? So like people won't see a post and be like, "Well, I got to put that out there." They'll see it and be like, "Okay, that's good guidance." And if they need a copy and paste, they have it, and if they don't, they'll just write their own content, right?
Yeah, some people do like swipe copy. I'm personally not a huge fan of it because I know that speakers might want to say it differently, but I also know, having been a speaker on events, be it an event like this or be it like a summit or any kind of event, that it's nice to have the swipe copy, but I also like to create, like you, Neil, create my own posts and say, hey, I'm excited to see my friends at the CAPS convention in Toronto coming up in December. My topic's going to be this. Looking forward to having you in my breakout session. Like, I can say that, but I can't expect the meeting planner or the event coordinator to have all of that personalized language for me. They're going to do the blanket, check out this event. Here's a graphic you can use. So
But I
some
think that is
generic
the
stuff,
point,
but also,
because you
yeah,
want people to at least have some of it done.
yeah,
It's running, and those that just
some of
want
it.
to just forward it over, it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
But at least most of it's done. All you have to do
yeah,
is put in a few things and then just send.
yeah.
Yeah.
Earl, go for it. We got a couple more minutes, then we got to wrap it up. But
Okay.
Earl, go ahead.
I loved it because of the takeaway at the end. Find those that are like that, and I love what you shared earlier, Carl, because the one that really zoomed up and got a lot of downloads, I know, and had the noisy background. I noticed that she was really nervous at the beginning. She was really talking fast. So when I asked my questions, I really slowed it down and just
Yeah.
helped
Slow it down.
helped her relax and stuff. And so and it really surprised because we didn't get a lot at first, but then all of a sudden, I mean, she was in the top five. She got into the top five while the other guy was still coming up, and he kind of
Yeah,
head by one. So it's an interesting thing I watch every day. So this has been really helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, Neil.
thank you, Neil, for your presentation. Again, Neil K. Carroll, thanks for joining us today. And also, thank you once again to Tracy Beavers for sharing her insights as well. So, has this been helpful? If it's been helpful, put a yes. If it's been really helpful, put a big yes in the chat for what we've been talking about today. A lot of great information, and I really thank Neil K. Carroll again, and also Tracy Beavers for their valuable insights today. This recording will be available if you want to refer back to it or get any more insights out of it. It'll be made available in the next couple of days or so. So, and certainly if you're catching the recording, we're sorry you missed it live, but certainly take Neil up on his offer to walk through that process, and hopefully that has been that'll be something that you'll get some aha moments from. And as far as the Alliance goes, our next Alliance meeting, it's a couple of months out. Well, actually, more than a couple. It'll be the 20th of August, I believe, if I'm looking at the calendar correctly. The 20th of August will be our next one. We're still rounding out our speaking roster, but Ben Albert will be one of our speakers. Ben is a community guy and a podcaster and a podcast guest, and he'll have some great insights to share as well. Thanks again for being here, and we look forward to seeing you at the next Podcast Alliance coming up in August. Thanks, everyone.